शून्यवादी वास्यद्यादिशतारिणी नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी वास्यद्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम
Who's next? Karishma. Who's singing next? Audition.
To keep the harmony.
अरे आप बैठिए सेव कर सकते அந்த பக்கம் வராது எல்லாரும் கீர்த்தன் பரவாயில்ல இந்த பக்கம் அவங்க கரெக்டா அது கேமரா சார்ஜர் Spotlight.
Wait.
Make this host not easier.
Hey Krishna, is the audio clear?
Not able to hear anything. No sound.
कैसे हैं आप?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Anybody knows how to sing very Prabhupada?
No, there's a bhajan, right?
There's a bhajan?
आराम से ऊपर भी बैठिए सब अच्छा है नहीं सच में आप मैं बोल रही हूँ सब ऊपर भी जब जिनको कंफर्टेबल Everybody has the lyrics on their phone. If I share it on festival, will you be able to access? Yes. Krishnamani, can you share it on the festival?
We want to see all this.
Oh.
If Srila Prabhupada had not come, what would have happened? How could we have passed our lives? Who else would have distributed the unlimited mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga all over the world? Which other compassionate person would have endeavored to deliver the miscreants, sinful, impersonalistic, and voidistic people in the West? Who else would have come to distribute Harinam to them? Who else would have come forward to transform them into civilized beings? Who else would have taught them how to worship the deity form of Lord Hari day and night with Arti, Kirtans, and how to conduct the Rath Yatra and other grand festivals? Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita contain the essence of the nectarian mellows of love of Godhead. Who else would have explained these scriptures so clearly and beautifully? Who else would have tolerated all difficulties and distributed Harinam with a pleasant heart? Who would have given us the dhams such as Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Jagannath Puri? The teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constitute the greatest and most auspicious treasure. Who else would have engaged us in constantly practicing and preaching it? Sri Shri Gaura are the desire trees of love of Godhead. Desiring a drop of their mercy, Jagapataka's heart incessantly takes shelter of your divine grace.
Anyone wants to connect the Wi-Fi? Okay, let's
I
get
think it's
started.
okay, sir.
Yadi Prabhupada Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Now we are going to have a pravachan by His Grace Prasanna Vasudeva Prabhu about the glories of Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Shri Krishna Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
Stapitam Yena Bhutale
Stapitam Yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam
Dadati Swapadantikam
Dadati Swapadantikam
Namo Vishnupadaya
Namo Vishnupadaya
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta
Swami Niti Namine
Swami Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Gauravani Pracharine
Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Paschatya Deshatarine
Paschatya Deshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. I thank all the devotees, especially Srila Prabhu and Geeta Mataji for allowing this fool to talk or glorify Prabhupada in the best way possible. I'll try to share whatever realizations I've had or I've heard about or I've read about from other Vaishnavas. There's nothing new. I seek all your blessings to speak only good and be able to share some realizations. Hare Krishna. So as the kids or the youth sang correctly, with Jayapataka Goswami Maharaj's rendition about Prabhupada. Yadi Prabhupada na hoito, tabe ke hoito. I mean, what will happen to all of us if Prabhupada was actually not there? Prabhupada has been the epitome or the height of compassion, right? Compassion. So basically what we try to do is talk about a little bit of the compassion and or talk about the compassion aspect and also the truthfulness, the fierceness with which Prabhupada went around the world. So we always need to discuss two sides of the coin. So one is the compassion side and the truthful side. And to start off that way, in Ramayana, it is described that when the Lordship, Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna appeared in this world as babies, all four of them were crying. So all four of them were born at the same time and they were placed in the baskets and they were actually crying at the same time. So that is something very surprising because they were the lordships and when Lord Rama comes, basically he spreads happiness. That's the whole meaning of Lord Rama. When you hear the word Rama, because he is giving and with his presence he makes everybody happy. So why was the other babies not happy and he himself was not happy? All four of the babies lying in the basket were crying. So then all the sages who were present there, they were consulted by Dasharatha Maharaj. Dasharatha Maharaj went to them and asked, what happened to all the four babies? Why are my four babies crying? They have just come into the world. So the sages, immediately they responded saying that they will obviously cry. Because look at the basket, what happened? They had two baskets. So who is with Lord Rama? Actually, Bharata was placed with Lord Rama and Lakshmana was placed with Shatrughna. So the sages said they are not in their position. So just switch them. Keep Lakshmana with Rama and Bharata with Shatrughna or Shatrughna with Bharata. You see the magic. So Dasharatha Maharaj actually went and he did exactly what the sages said. So Lakshmana now moved from that one basket to Rama and Shatrughna or Bharata moved from Rama to Shatrughna. Immediately they all started smiling. Now everybody is wondering, all the devotees are wondering, what is he talking about? You're talking about Prabhupada and you started with Ramayana. So the significance here is basically that if Lakshmana, so he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when Rama, he separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he is lamenting. So what to speak about souls like us if we are separated from the Lord? So that is where Prabhupada comes in. Prabhupada, through all his years of service to basically to the humanity, what he has done is he has installed so many temples around the world with so many deities Yeah, whether it's Radha Govinda, Sham Sundar, Gaur Nitai, Narasimhadev, Jagannath Baldev Subhadramaya, all around the world, so many temples. So what he has actually done is, he's helped us to go back to be as close as possible to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has given us that opportunity because we are eternally crying like Lakshmana was when he was separated from Lord Rama. So Prabhupada is the platform, he's created the platform for us to go as close as possible and do seva, do pravachan, distribute books, and remember the Lord in the times that we spend on this in this material world, and at least get an opportunity to go back to Godhead. So it's wonderful because we have so many things to talk about Prabhupada, but these small instances remind us what Prabhupada has actually done for us. And there is this story about Prabhupada's compassion again. So again, this is all Prabhupada's compassion, right? So there was this I heard from Amarendra Prabhu. So there was this French admiral officer, Navy officer, a very respected French Navy officer. Once he wanted to meet Prabhupada. So at that point of time, Indradyumna Swami Maharaj was with Prabhupada. So obviously the admiral officer went to Indradyumna Swami Maharaj and requested him, can I meet Prabhupada? Indradyumna Swami Maharaj, as any other servant, went up to Prabhupada and asked Prabhupada's permission. Prabhupada immediately, when he heard, and he explained, there's a big officer from the French Navy, he's come to see you, he wants some time with you. Prabhupada said, of course, please bring him on. Call him inside. Yeah. So Indradyumna Swami Maharaj went and he invited the officer to come inside, and immediately when the officer came inside, Prabhupada and him had a connect, and because of Prabhupada's mercy, there was a lot of conversation, they were having time together, and the conversation went for a very long time, a loving exchange between the officer and Prabhupada. Right? And obviously, the officer might have had some questions, and Prabhupada was definitely answering those. But the most important question, two questions the officer asked Prabhupada. One is, Hare Krishna. One is that he asked, okay Prabhupada, okay Swamiji, if I were to read one book, which book should it be? Prabhupada. What do you think Prabhupada would have said? Let me ask. One book, the officer asked. Which book would it be? Bhagavad Gita. Very good, yes. But Prabhupada didn't say Bhagavad Gita. He said Bhagavad Gita.
As it is.
That is as it is for us. No, Prabhupada obviously said Bhagavad Gita. Yeah? So Bhagavad Gita. So again, admiral officer is a respected officer, intelligent officer. He said, yes, Swamiji. Sure, I will read that. There are so many chapters in Bhagavad Gita. I have known. I know that there are so many chapters. So if I were to read one chapter, which chapter would it be? So Prabhupada said, chapter 9. Read chapter 9. And also Prabhupada added, read chapter 9 every day for the rest of your life. That's enough. So the officer thanked Prabhupada. He got his answers. He went away. Now, after so many years, many years, even after Prabhupada departed from this material world, there was a big gathering. And it so happened that the gathering is of all important people, some important gathering. And it was heavily guarded, means there were a lot of security around. And seeing that this is a huge gathering and all important people are there, obviously devotees went there because they wanted to spread Harinam, right? And they wanted to distribute Prabhupada's books. So they eagerly went to enter the place. But then the security was so tight that they said, oh, nobody allowed without invitation. Okay, so please, you can't enter. And so happened that Kirtans Swami Maharaj was also in that group. They were trying their best to enter, but it didn't happen. Now, Krishna's mercy, of all the dignitaries that were there, or all the big people who were there happened to be that naval officer. So the naval officer happened to hear the commotion and he got up and looked at the gate. So when he looked at the gate, he saw ISKCON devotees. So immediately he got interested and he started walking towards the gate. When he went to the gate, obviously Kirtans Swami Maharaj and him met. So immediately the naval officer, his naval officer security guards were there. They were like, don't go close, don't go out of the zone. I mean, we are not sure if you'll be protected. He said, no, I know them. Please let them in. I already know them, so let them in. So the devotees happily went inside. Okay, they got the opportunity to distribute books, right? So they went inside. And when the naval officer came and Kirtans Swami Maharaj met him, immediately the naval officer asked him, told Kirtans Swami Maharaj, do you remember me? So Kirtans Swami Maharaj, of course, I do remember you. So many years back you came to meet Prabhupada and you had come to me and you met Prabhupada. He said, yes, that's me. And he said, your guru is a great person. I mean, I just met him for one day only, but he's such a great person. So how is he and where is he? How is he doing? He asked. But Kirtans Swami Maharaj obviously told the answer that Prabhupada had passed away. He had actually departed this world. So, upon hearing this, the naval officer, without any, he is a naval officer who has got no connection with ISKCON. He just met Prabhupada that day, so many years back, and he went ahead with his life. No association with devotees, no prasadam, no other connection with ISKCON at all. He did not take any initiation, he was not chanting any beads. The only interaction he had was with Prabhupada for that couple of minutes, we can say. But upon hearing that Prabhupada had already left this world, immediately tears started flowing from his eyes. And with a very sorrowful voice, he said, I don't think there will be anybody else like him. He really made a difference in my life. So that was the mercy that was given by Prabhupada to this person, regardless of what level he is in the society. Prabhupada never discriminated between people. Are you white? Are you black? Are you, at a higher position, lower position? Yes, he gave respect equally and he was compassionate equally and he gave time to everybody equally. But Kirtans Swami Maharaj did not leave him. He immediately asked him, what about the Bhagavad Gita? And what about chapter 9? So the naval officer said, yes. From that day till today, I read chapter 9 every day without fail. And that has changed my life. One instruction from Prabhupada, he took it and that changed his life. So that is how Prabhupada, even Prabhupada's own disciples didn't get to meet Prabhupada more than once or twice in their lifetime. Many of the sannyasis who you see today, they all got instruction once or met Prabhupada once. That's all. The rest, they are carrying out the mission of Prabhupada on his words, on his books. They are distributing books Prabhupada's books throughout the world and the scriptures throughout the world, only on the instruction of Prabhupada. And that is what Prabhupada said, right? Prabhupada said that even if I am not here, my books will go around the world for the next, how many years? 10,000 years. And they will be the pillar of instruction. They will guide you. You just have to follow them. Like somebody said, Prabhupada gave 4 things. A, B, C, D. What is A, B, C, D?
A for association.
Yes, thank you, Ma. A for association. B for books. C for chanting.
And D for diet.
And D for diet. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada gave all this and he departed this world. And in fact, we think he has departed. Many other devotees, okay, can actually experience Prabhupada that he's still there. When they go to, like for example, in, I think it was in Bhubaneswar, Srila Govinda Maharaj. Yeah, Srila Govinda Maharaj has mentioned this, that when because he had association with Prabhupada, and they were together in a hut in Bhubaneswar. So, Srila Govinda Maharaj says that, and he's the one who wrote the book, The Revered Guru, about Srila Prabhupada. He is the author of that book. So, in that book also he mentions that Prabhupada is still there. He comes at 2 o'clock in the night when he gets up to, chant. He can hear Prabhupada giving lecture and recording. Basically, recording his lectures, he is dictating his lectures, and Prabhupada is still there, and he can hear Prabhupada chanting. And Govinda Maharaj, he actually asked his disciples in a joking way, he asks, "Can you hear Prabhupada?" And they say, "No, we can't." So he's like, "Are you all deaf? I can hear Prabhupada." So that is the realization of the devotees who have been in touch with Prabhupada. That's the impact that Prabhupada has left on his disciples and on the people who have met him. So now let's talk a little bit about the experience of what Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj, his association with Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj. Now, Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj by himself is a very elevated soul. He was a pujari for 78 years. And he had association with Prabhupada from very early days. So they had very good exchanges. So Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj talks about Prabhupada, and when he remembers Prabhupada, he says that Prabhupada was different. That's the word he used. Prabhupada was different. So Prabhupada had a very strict schedule. So even before or initial stages of his practice, Prabhupada had a very, very strict regime. And he used to follow that every day. And one of that was that he would be gone before sunrise. Prabhupada would leave before sunrise, and where Prabhupada was living was obviously Radha Damodar temple. Yeah. So Srila Rupa Goswami Samadhi next to us. So he could see the Samadhi from his window, right? So he was living in that room, but Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj would see that the Prabhupada is not there before sunrise. And this is every day. He would not be there. And he would come back only by 11 o'clock. Where would he go? He would go to all the 7 Goswami temples. Strictly every day. So that is Radha Damodar, obviously, the temple where he was close to. Then he would go to Radha Raman, Radha Govinda Dev. Do we know all the temples? Okay, so Radha Damodar, Radha Raman, then Radha Govinda Dev, then Radha Madhura Mohan, Radha Gopinath, and Radha Shyam Sundar. So he would go to all these temples, pay obeisance, okay, and then he would come back at 11 o'clock. Prabhupada would come back. And that too, on the way back, Prabhupada would buy whatever fruits and vegetables, little bit that is required to make bhoga, and he would buy that, and on the way come back to his room, prepare a simple, prasadam. That is what chawal, chapati, and one dal. Simple, and offer that to the Lord, and then honor it. This was his only meal. In the night, he would basically have about 1 or 2 glasses of milk. And this is how Prabhupada, this is the austerity that Prabhupada shook and Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj actually remembers this very nicely. So Prabhupada would have only one meal a day, and as I said about the simple meal that he takes, and he would basically be absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Constantly, he would be reciting or dictating or translating and completely chanting, continuously chanting the name of the Lord. So Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj never saw him sitting idle, to the fact that even knew in the evening he would, Prabhupada after this meal, he would just go to sleep for roughly half an hour and then get up and start his seva again. Sometimes Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj says that in the night, he would hear basically this loud sound from nearby. So initially he ignored that sound, but later it became a very continuous activity. So what he did was he got up one day and he went to check what is it, because usually it's quiet. There's no sound around the temple, right? So he peeked over the fence to see where the sound was coming from. There he saw Prabhupada with the broomstick. He was cleaning the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami, and he was basically saying out loud that how will I basically, can you give me? He was asking permission. He was seeking blessings from all the Goswamis and Srila Rupa Goswami to say that, give me the mercy to spread the name of Lord Hari. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it. There is so much to be done. So he was basically pleading, begging, and taking, asking for mercy from them, and he was crying out loud, and he was saying this. While he was doing this, tears were flowing out of his eyes, and he was basically sweeping the floor. So Hridayananda Das Babaji Maharaj, he says that is the cry of compassion. Prabhupada was not crying for himself. He was actually crying for the sake of all of us around the world. He wanted, that is where the seed was born. Basically, that's where it all started. That he was so compassionate that he wanted to share Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, the scriptures, the name of the Lord. Yeah, he wanted to spread the name of the Lord all around the world. And obviously, he had got the instruction from his Guru Maharaj to go and spread the name of the Lord around the world. There were so many of his godbrothers who got the same instruction, right? But he was specifically, some of them tried, but nothing happened. So they went and they came back, or they tried, but nothing happened. But specifically, he was told by his Guru Maharaj to go because Prabhupada spoke very well in English. So that is why he was chosen to go to the Paschatya Desh. So that's what Prabhupada was yearning. How will I do this? I know my Guru Maharaj has given me the instruction, but how will I ever do this? And he was asking the Lordship for mercy and the Goswamis for their mercy. So that's interesting, because now again, when we hear all these stories, it's nice, we are remembering Prabhupada, but we also have to remember why he did all this, for who he did all this, and the effect of it so many years after the sacrifice Prabhupada has done, and how many more years we can expect this to go on, and how many of us are actually helping this to go on, all of us, everybody. So how many of us are actually taking that effort to ensure that Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada's Vani, Prabhupada's books are going around the world and enlightening more and more souls. That's something that we need to think about. And Prabhupada's, the effect of Prabhupada's pravachan and kirtan and his compassion can be compared to camphor, karpur, right? Camphor? Yeah. Camphor, when you keep it in a cloth, what happens to it? Has anybody experimented? Any science students here?
It goes away.
If me as a commerce student can speak it, I think science students can explain better. What happens to the cloth? What happens to the camphor in the cloth?
It is cloth only we can get the cloth.
We'll get only the cloth. There will be no camphor after some time. Magic. Mataji, you're a science student? No. So yeah, the camphor will actually get dissolved, you can say. It will just vanish in the air, right? Though camphor has gone, what is left behind in the cloth?
The fragrance.
The fragrance. Yes. So, similarly, Prabhupada's Vani, though Prabhupada has departed this world, his Vani is like this fragrance of the camphor that is stuck to. If we want to, we can keep it close to our heart. Okay, we can wear that or keep the cloth close to us so that we can continuously reminder of Prabhupada. Okay, so even if he is not physically here, his words are still with us, his instructions are still with us. And similarly, when you talk about so many Mahatmas like Srila Prabhupada, many a times even this question comes that, you know, when we celebrate, obviously we just celebrated Prabhupada's appearance, right? On Nandotsav, we actually celebrated Prabhupada coming to this world and giving us, you know, so much of mercy. But we also celebrate Prabhupada's disappearance. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada's disappearance also, we celebrate, not commemorate. We celebrate. So there's many a times this question that comes, why do ISKCON Valas, ISKCON devotees, ISKCON ke bhakt, they celebrate disappearance. Disappearance means what?
Sadness.
Somebody is passed away. Correct? Somebody has left the body. In normal world, when usually in the material world, when do you celebrate? Appearance. Appearance bole to? Born. Birthday, wedding day. Yeah? Then which other day is there? I don't know, I only know these two.
Nowadays, people are celebrating.
Every day. Every day. Star birthday, non-star, side star, all star. Yeah? So every day there is always a reason to celebrate. Correct? And usually it is done on when there is somebody who is born. We bake a cake and then we, you know, try to show that we are happy. Though we are eternally not, right? We try to show the world, oh, this is the day I was here. We make a big deal out of it. But devotees celebrate disappearance of Mahatmas. So let's say talk about Srila Prabhupada itself. What we do, we organize a program, we glorify Prabhupada or other Mahatmas, we make more prasadam, and we have more prasadam, we have more kirtan, we bring in or we what do you call that? What do we calling people? Invite. We invite more people to come and, you know, attend the program. So some are already confused. Why do we do all this? So the answer to that is actually in the Puranas, because let's start by saying that, okay, when the Lord is born, when Lord Sri Krishna is born, right? Indra and his associates immediately, or whenever the Lord is born, there is no announcement. The Lord is just born, and everybody knows that, correct? So when the Lord is born, for example, when Krishna was born to Devaki, or he appeared in Devaki's womb, immediately Indra and his associates came and paid their obeisance without any invitation. Because wherever the Lord is, everybody else is, correct? they knew and they came and they did their obeisance and they went away. Similarly, when the Lord was born as Lord Ramachandra, okay, so again when Kaushalya she got Mother Kaushalya, when she was when the Lord appeared in her womb as Lord Rama, again Indra came with his associates. He came to know immediately. He came and he knew Lord is there in the material world. He came to pay obeisances. But the same Indra, when Prahlad was born for Kayadu, right? Kayadu, when he came, the same Indra came to kill him. Now, you must be asking, you just talked about Lord Krishna and Lord Rama. Where did Prahlad come from? Now, Prahlad is a elevated soul, like a Mahatma. He is already a Mahatma. He was born for Kayadu. But the thing is, the Indra who knew that the Lord is appearing could not know that an elevated soul is appearing. The logic in that, what we need to understand is that the Lord appears, everybody knows. The Lord disappears, everybody knows. Or he goes back, everybody knows. Right? But when a Mahatma is born, he comes very quietly. He comes into this material world very quietly, and slowly the world realizes that he is a great personality. Exactly like Prabhupada. Slowly everybody realizes that he is a great personality because they are already doing the service the moment they are born, okay, or they appear. So when they are born itself, they know what they have to do. But we realize, we fools, we realize only later. Okay, depending on our intelligence, we realize later, oh, he's a Mahatma, he's come for some purpose. Right? So they are already, actually what happens to Mahatmas is that Mahatmas are already serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, they already have service there. And they come down on their own will to serve or to basically rescue us. They are coming, they are taking permission from the Lord and saying, "Das please low, they are getting tortured there. Let me at least go and bring at least few of them." You know, so many millions of them in the material world, they are struggling. So please give me the opportunity to go and serve them. So like that they come. But we in material world don't realize that they are coming. That is why, and throughout their life, we realize then that they are Mahatmas, and that is why when they are going back, we celebrate them. Because they are going back not like us. We are getting tortured while we are coming to this world, we are crying. Yeah, not only we are crying, mother is also crying, father is also crying, everybody is crying. Yeah, and then obviously through the life also we are crying. In between also we are crying, and then in the end also we make everybody else cry. Obviously we are also crying. They don't see that. What happens to us only we will know. We and the Lord will know. Lord already knows. Okay, and we can't tell anything to anybody. But obviously those who are left behind, they are crying. But the Mahatmas, when they go back, they are actually going back to their eternal position. They are actually going back to their duty where they came from. So why should we be sad? So that is why we celebrate the disappearance of Mahatmas like Srila Prabhupada. Okay, and we need to. And we need to do that so that everybody understands the importance. And that is also one more opportunity for everybody to remember Prabhupada and be associated with Vaishnavas and also get the chance to be with devotees, his disciples. Okay, when we talk about Prabhupada, we also have to talk about his disciples. There are so many of his, of all the acharyas in ISKCON who actually took the words of or instructions of Srila Prabhupada and helped spread the name of the Lord even more around the world. And this would not have been possible without Prabhupada's direct instructions and his blessings. So Prabhupada only could do that because he practiced what he preached. Prabhupada was not one of those gurus who came into this or started sharing the name of the Lord in a manner that is palatable. Meaning, if we go to like many of the other acharyas who went to the West or any other places, even in India itself, what they would do is they would look at the crowd and they try to adjust the philosophy so it's become, something that is consumable, easy. But then it will not get stuck in their throat. They will not get scared. So they would say, you are eating meat, thoda kam karo. You are having, hard liquor, to like banadum. Tea, coffee, not every day, once in a week. Chalega. Okay, slowly move to vegetarianism. Deities nahi hai to bhi chalega, photo rakho. For the time being, even photo, if you feel scared that your neighbor will see, it's okay, close your eyes and meditate. Okay? So these was all the different styles that were told by other gurus, not because they wanted to ensure that people don't get scared. Right? So they used to dilute the essence. But Prabhupada, that's where the truthfulness of Prabhupada comes. He said, no meat eating, no onion garlic, no mushroom, no this. 4 regulative principles follow. Minimum 16 round stand. Read Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavatam. Simple. That's it. Karna hai to karo. Okay? But he did not say it like me because I'm a fool. Okay? Prabhupada shared it in the most compassionate way. Prabhupada understood that. So he shared it in a way that people can understand without compromising on the principles. He shared it like a father. He shared it like a friend. He gave opportunities. He tolerated many of the wrongdoings, like you are tolerating me now. Yeah? He tolerated all the silly mistakes that were done by his disciples because he understood how sincere they were. So Prabhupada was able to see the sincerity in others. He was able to connect with all of us, so whoever he's met, his disciples or anybody who he met, in a way that he was able to touch their lives. So he was a true Acharya because he did Achar and Prachar, not just one. So he was actually an example. Many of the other Acharyas also later understood that, who Srila Prabhupada was and how his qualities were. They would themselves say that initially they would have said, this Swamiji is going to, in his old age, this we know already. Many of times we hear in lectures and kathas and, Prabhupada, why he had to go, to all the way to crossing 7 seas, at the age of 70. Why he had to go? I mean, that already he was fragile and, people materially, they thought that he will not be able to make it. But that's not the case. Prabhupada could see the future. He really wanted to share the mercy with everybody. And it was not for him, not even once. Even in fact, the Prabhupada, when he came back in 1972, he came back with his devotees to the same temple, Damodar temple, and he showed his immediate disciples. He showed that room where he was initially, and he was telling them that this is where it all started from. I was in this room, and this is where I used to sit and chant, and I used to translate. So the disciples were also able to get that mercy, and he would say that every day I used to sit in the room and look through the window and see Srila Rupa Goswami Samadhi and chant, and I used to cry. I used to basically meditate on how this all would happen. So Krishna is so merciful that I've got wonderful disciples like you, and I expect you to take this forward. So he was really a guru who stuck to what he said and he practiced, and he ensured that even his disciples could become from nobody to somebody. So basically, who were they? They were drug addicts. They were basically they were low. They were the lowest in their life when Prabhupada went and touched them. Okay, with his blessings. They were nothing. They didn't know what to do in life. They were confused. They were going into all wrong directions. They were getting, doing all the abominable things possible a human can do. The lowest things that a human can do. They didn't have any discipline. They didn't know what to do. Okay, they were literally at the verge of collapsing as a society. But Prabhupada went there like a ray of sunlight. And with slowly but steadily, he was able to change their life and eventually change our life. I mean, even if we can practice like 1% or 0.1% of what Prabhupada has shared with us, I mean, that's amazing. That realization itself is amazing. I mean, sometimes when even that's not exactly what the Guru Maharaj and many of the Swami, all the Swamis in ISKCON, they preach that read Prabhupada's books. Very, very important to understand, not just emotionally feel for what Prabhupada has done, but to actually value, the sacrifice that he's taken all his life to spread the name of the Lord. And basically to help us get out of the ocean of this, this struggle of Maya, to get out of Maya and to take us back to Godhead. I think I'll just conclude. I don't know, do we have time? I think we're done. 30 minutes. So I'll just conclude by preface from teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just read it out. This was enough for me. I'm sorry, I told you very less brain power. So for me, this preface is enough. Other stuff is very heavy for me. Okay. So I was just flipping because Radhasaki gave me this book. As I was preparing, I was listening to lectures, and Radhasaki just gave me this book, and I was flipping. Honestly speaking, though I might have gone through the book earlier, just to recall when I went through the preface, I said, Hari Bol. I mean, this is the best thing that I need to share. So here it's written, when Srila Prabhupada was in Australia, okay, a reporter asked, why is it that such a small percentage of the population accept this philosophy? They're talking about, the ISKCON philosophy. So why is that such a small percentage of the population accept this philosophy? So in his response, Srila Prabhupada quoted the shloka, Eko api gunavan putro nirgunena satena kim ekaschandrastamo hanti nacha tarah sahasrasah. Okay? So what it means is, he also said that even one well qualified son is better than hundreds who are worthless. A single moon destroys the darkness of night, whereas thousands of stars do not. And then he continued, according to the percentage, the moon is nothing. Okay, according to the percentage, moon is nothing. There are so many stars in the sky, and by percentage, the moon is nothing. But the moon is more important than all the nonsense stars. Prabhupada being himself. Okay? But the moon is more important than all the nonsense stars because he is the moon. He is more important. What is the use of taking percentage of stars in the presence of the moon? What is the point in counting the stars in the presence of the moon? Let there be one moon, that is sufficient. One ideal man. Just like in the Christian world, one ideal Lord Jesus Christ. Prabhupada urged his followers to be moon-like devotees. Okay, so he was not interested, he says that, the author writes that he was not interested in quantitative increase but in qualitative increase, like he compared between the moon and the stars. He has often stressed in his letters, make everything slow. Make everything slow, but sure, and class, not mass. Okay, Prabhupada's words. He says, take it slow, but make sure that you do it properly in class. Okay, means high class, right? And don't just do it for the sake of doing. So, I mean, that's a clear instruction to all of us, right? I mean, how well can Prabhupada put it? I mean, how better can he put it? So that preface hit me, and I said, no, this has to be shared. So Prabhupada is very clear in his instruction. Do it, but do it right. Follow the regulative principles. Follow the instructions. Take time, no problem. Be like the moon, not like the stars. Stars will shine. Everybody wants to look at the stars, but you will not be. You will. I think you will burn out much faster. Okay, so that's what I understand. And stand as the moon, not for yourself, not to get the glory that I am the moon. No, be the light in others' life. Okay, pass it on. Make others also shine like the moon. Give them the opportunity. Even if you are able to, I mean, we are all doing that as devotees. I agree, we have great, wonderful devotees here, and so many who are watching. So beyond us, we need to think how many lives can we touch? Like Srila Prabhu always says, invite more, friends and family and colleagues. Bring them to our programs. Talk about the programs. Talk about Krishna. Talk about Prabhupada's books. If you get even a 5 minutes interaction with somebody and you are able to understand that that person is inclined to spirituality, yeah. Don't go around, catching everybody shaking and say, hey, you have to listen about Krishna. Even Prabhupada says, don't do that. Right? You don't talk to an atheist about God. So you talk, anybody who is spiritually inclined, talk about Krishna, talk about what Prabhupada has done for us, talk about other acharyas, what they are doing for us, talk about the devotees, the senior Vaishnavas, what all programs we conduct, what all programs we have, what what cultural activities we do, okay, whether it is AACF or whether it's any of the programs that we conduct, share it with them, invite them. Obviously, the first thing is, the easiest thing to do is call them home and feed them prasadam. Okay, and this also actually reminds me. Sorry, Prabhu. It's a very interesting one. I heard of very early. I think it was very long back. When it comes to prasadam, see the smiles coming out. So there was this lecture I heard where there was this temple in Atlanta. The temple there, when it was built by or overseen, the building when it was designed or built, it was overseen by Tamal Krishna Swami Maharaj, right? So when it was built, the floor plan was such that Tamal Krishna Swami Maharaj said like the restaurant, the Govindas, like the restaurant. Usually it is away from the temple building, correct? It's detached from the temple building or behind the building. That's how it is. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he actually said the restaurant has to be right in front, meaning front, the side. So as devotees or as the public enters or devotees enter, they first go into the restaurant, okay? And from that restaurant, you turn right, then you go into the temple, okay? And there is also the option to get out of the restaurant also. But when you turn, you have prasadam, you basically go straight into the temple. So it was built that way and it was finalized and it's open. But there were certain devotees who were like, what is Tamal Krishna Maharaj thinking? How can it happen? I mean, this is something that we have never done. Usually you come for, you come offer your obeisances, do kirtan and then go and have prasadam, right? But he is doing it the other way around. And actually they could prove it that he was wrong. You know why? That happened. People came, they had nice prasadam, instead of going to the temple, took out. Paid full, bahar. Temple mein koi nahi. Nobody in the temple. Okay? So the devotees thought, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, what is this? Not happening. Okay? We told you shouldn't do this. But after 18 years, one of the Prabhu who was actually asking the question, who had the doubt on this whole plan, he came. He was a regular. He came and he was not regular. He came after a long time. He came to the temple and he was actually paying obeisance. And from far, when he paid obeisance, the temple was literally not empty but not crowded. Okay? So he paid obeisance. When he got up, he was seeing obviously the Lord being served. And the pujari was also there. But something interested him and he looked very closely to see who the pujari is, because it was somebody new. Okay? So whom he didn't know. So he looked very closely and squinted his eyes, tunnel vision, he was trying to focus, and he looked at the pujari, looked very familiar. Okay? And he went close. Then he realized that pujari was a person who was regularly coming to the restaurant when he seen him before. So that person not only took initiation, not only took Brahmanical, but he also became a pujari in the temple. First, that guy. Then he turned around, he looked at the book table. Two devotees standing there. Then he realized these people also used to come in family for prasadam. They also took initiation, they became book distributors. Right? That throughout that day when he went around in the prasadam, area, in other sevas, he saw all, even the restaurant owner, the person who was running the restaurant was one of the person who used to come in the prasadam. Then he realized the plan of Tamal Krishna Swami Maharaj. He was 20 years ahead of everybody. Right? So he already predicted that whoever comes to the restaurant will eat prasadam and eventually become a devotee and serve the Lord. So if Tamal Krishna Swami Maharaj was a visionary, what was Prabhupada? His guru. Right? That is what Prabhupada did to all of us. He gave us that vision, he gave us that courage. And that is trickling down in the form of, small droplets to all of us, at least to us. Yeah. And we should ensure that it trickles down to them. Yeah. And that stream should continue flowing for the next, I don't know how many years now. So it's, 10,000 years Prabhupada said, so let it be 10,000 years. It should go on and we should ensure that we distribute Prabhupada's books. So let's all take, I think we'll conclude here. So let's all take a vow, and I personally want to do it. So that we complete, or how many of you have read Prabhupada Leela or completed? Yeah. So okay. Any Matajis? Prabhupada Leela
Matajis, no Matajis are there.
There, okay. Okay, fine. Thank you for the reflection. So those who have not done and those who have half done, okay, let's take a vow to complete it at least within the next 1 year. I think it's a lot of time. In the next 1 year. How many of you would like to do that? I'm doing it.
We like to read again.
Yeah, I think, yeah, of course, please. Yeah. So at least for the ones who have not done it, let's read and let's understand and let's dedicate our lives to our gurus and indirectly to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So those who are taking the oath, I'll take your names after you. For distributing books. No, to encourage them and to keep it. We have enough in our table, so whoever wants this book table, yeah. Thank you. So you said Kamal.
It's a complete story.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sanga Vasudeva Prabhu, for the wonderful glorification about the Srila Prabhupada. Request to Mataji, can you take children? They are exhaust already. So we can give the dinner performance to children. We can discuss about the upcoming festival. Okay, children. Now, already 9.
Because some devotees who are near, maybe they can have prashadam. We can announce.
Yeah, those who want to go, now we are going to discuss about the upcoming festival. So, anybody